So last night, my middle child, my daughter, is a senior in high school and is starting really in the midst of the college search process. And she said, Dad, over fall break, I think we should go out to look at Colorado Boulder, but I think we should spend a couple extra days and go skiing. And I looked at her and said, that's a fantastic...
She only said that because she knows that's going to get you to go.
Well, yeah, I said, that's a fantastic idea. The problem is there's no snow yet, babe. She was like, oh, I didn't think about that.
Or certainly at least not enough to ski.
I was like, I've got a pair of rock skis, but that's a little too rocky for my taste.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned that. I actually am jumping on a plane tomorrow to head down to Chile to go find some snow and get back on snow and go train for a couple weeks.
That is
cool. I'm going to find snow somewhere.
That is my bucket list.
I think we need to join him because they've got good red wine, good steaks, and currently you can ski.
That's my bucket list.
Exactly.
Is to ski in the North American summer down there. I got to do that before I'm too old.
Have you been down before?
I have. Yeah, I was actually just down there just about a month ago.
Okay, and
so
how
I'm
is
going back down again.
How would you compare it to Utah, Colorado?
Surprisingly, the snow conditions are very, very similar to what we see in Utah, Colorado. Right now, it's kind of getting closer to the end of their season, so it'd be like skiing Deer Valley in the middle of March. Okay. Which, if you've ever been there, it's the best time of the year to ski. It's really enjoyable, but the snow stays pretty dry, and we're able to create a venue that's really specific to our needs. Okay, and it translates really well to what we'll see at our first World Cups in December. Now,
random question. This, I guess, is going to get getting into skiing, but who sets that up? Like, do the Chileans set that up on their own, or do they have a deal up for a partnership with the U.S. ski team, and they coordinate all that, or what?
Yeah, so it's actually our U.S. ski team staff will go down and set the course up, do the whole build, and we just rent space from the mountain, and we have full control, which is pretty unique actually. Normally we're balancing stuff, we're trying to train with other teams, and everyone's got their different preferences. Yeah. So when we get the opportunities to kind of be at a place on our own, we really kind of get an advantage because we have full control of the venue.
Right. Do other countries do some stuff similar to that, or not so much?
Yeah, there are. Yeah, so there's like Canada, for instance, they went down to a different resort in Chile. Different clubs and teams from Europe will stay over in Europe and be on a glacier or something like that. So it kind of works geographically where you are, and then figuring out what your needs are.
Have you done glacier skiing before?
I have. Yep. So I was over in Austria in June this year, doing some glacier skiing over there.
I've never done it. So like, how would that compare to just a traditional mountain?
It's interesting because you're skiing in the summer where it's really warm outside. So the snow gets, it's like you're skiing through mashed potatoes. Yeah. You can imagine that. But you have this base underneath of this glacier that's, rock hard ice. Right. And then that starts kind of coming through. And, as we've seen kind of the world get warmer, those glaciers are shrinking and shrinking. So we're doing, the best we can to keep using them and using them responsibly. But definitely from when I was 10 years old until now, you've seen the glacier skiing really change. That whole landscape has moved a lot.
But is skiing on a glacier, is that still decent training? I mean, or is it so different that it's better than nothing, but it's definitely not the same? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same. Like, we would never see conditions like that in the middle of winter, but it's the best that we can do. And for that time of year, it's actually really valuable because that skiing and that snow is a little bit more forgiving. So when you're trying to break down a new skill or learn a new fundamental, it makes it, a little simpler to get your feet underneath you and kind of get the ball rolling.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Industrious Podcast. Thank you all for joining us from wherever you get your podcasts. If you're joining us on the Assessa YouTube channel, thank you for tuning in. We greatly appreciate that. While you're there, if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell icon so you can be alerted when new episodes like this one drop. We would greatly appreciate it. We are approaching the Winter Olympics, of 2026 in Italy. I'm still waiting to get my passes and my tickets and some excuse to have to go. I'm sure we could come up with
I can come up with any excuse. I'll give you an excuse.
Nick's going to give us an excuse. He's going to give us a pass somehow. But anyway, special guest, Mr. Nick Page. Nick, welcome to the Industrious Podcast.
Man, thank you. Thanks. I'm excited to be here and excited to talk to you guys today.
You're welcome. As you can see, Nick is nearly our age, or maybe I should say we're nearly his age. Anyway, Nick, why don't you do us a favor and kind of give us a little background intro on yourself?
Yeah. So to kick it off, first off, thank you for having me. This is really exciting. And so what I do, if you're familiar with the sport of freestyle moguls, it's an Olympic sport that I participate in. That's what I do. And I was skied in the last Olympics in 2022, where I finished 5th place there. Going into this next Olympics in 2026, I'm currently sitting at 3rd in the world. So I feel like I'm in a good spot to make that team and be competitive next February, which I'm really excited for. And outside of that, I've been a U.S. ski team member for 7 years now, which is kind of crazy considering I'm 23 years old. So I've been doing that since I was still in high school. And I'm the luckiest person in the world, really. I get to travel the world doing what I love and really challenging myself to get better every day at something.
Oh, that's awesome. I have to ask, what is the kind of, I don't want to say age limit because there's no limit, but at what age are mogul skiers starting to age out? Because like I live in the Midwest. I didn't ski enough to ever really get good enough at skiing to start doing moguls. But when I watch you and watch others that are like you and that do the mogul skiing, like, my knees are just like, holy crap. Like they need to be made of rubber to be able to do that. I got to imagine it's a younger age group, I would think, that still does that before the body's is just like saying, yeah, it's time to move on to something else.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There's so much work that we have to do to keep our bodies, in shape and ready. I'd say, athletes, when they start getting into their 30s is probably where that clock starts to wind down a little bit. I think our oldest competitor right now is 33. Okay. And to put it in perspective, he's been the best in the world since he was 19 years old. So by no means, it's by no means a handicap for him that he's getting older, because he's still dominant at every age he's been at. But right. I'd say anywhere between, your late teens, like I came on when I was 16, 17 years old, and then about early 30s is when the clock starts to wind down.
So I still have a chance.
I can tell you that I used to love crushing moguls, but now on the 1 or 2 times a year I go skiing, I'm like, maybe I'll just stick to that cruiser over there and just go by them because the next morning I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel that everywhere.
Yeah. I think the last time I went skiing, literally the thought that went through my head was, I've made it to 52 without blowing out a knee. I'm not interested in starting now. So like, don't do anything stupid. Just cruise and have fun and enjoy yourself. But anyway.
That's funny.
All right. So, Nick, question. You were born in Florida, correct?
I was.
All right. So tell us, how does someone who's born in Florida, now living in, and you've probably been in Utah most of your life, though, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So, but what triggered that? Was it the skiing thing or a job change or what have you?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny. My parents actually both grew up in Salt Lake.
Oh, okay.
At the time, they were about 20. They went out into the world, started working. Their jobs took them to, I think they were in California, they were in Denver. They spent time in Orlando and then Miami. Okay. Miami, just outside Miami, is where I was born. Yep. In a little town called Hollywood. We lived there for about a year before moving back to Utah in 2003. Just it was for my dad's work. We were going to get closer to our family. My dad's boss actually wanted him to be able to raise his kids in the mountains. Nice. Or his kid in the mountain, because he just thought that's a great place to raise your kid. Sure. And every star aligned for me. So Yana and I started skiing, at 2 years old with my parents, just as a goal of saying, hey, we want to be able to go out and ski together as a family on the weekends. So I was in a ski school program at Deer Valley. I kind of worked my way through that and went to my parents and said, I love this. This is so much fun. I want to do it more. And they had found a club that was sanctioned out of Deer Valley called Wasatch Freestyle. And it just happened to be a mogul program and a freestyle program. So I started right into that. And from there, I spent 7 years about 9 years on that team before making the national team at 16.
Okay. For those that may not know, how would you define freestyle skiing?
So freestyle, it kind of is an umbrella of, it has moguls, which is what I do. That's one classification. And then you have aerials, which is, you could think of it just like gymnastics on skis. So those are the two disciplines of freestyle we have now. Way back before I was in the sport, there was even a freestyle discipline called ballet, which they don't do anymore.
Okay.
But if you've seen videos of it, it's wildly impressive.
Yeah.
You got people spinning around, doing all sorts of stuff just on flat ground. But
and try not to trip over themselves. Or they'll just
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Selfishly, I'm not too mad that I don't have to do that, because it looks very, very challenging.
Right. Yeah. All right. So as you're progressing through, you got hooked on this. I assume you're naturally a competitive person. I can't imagine you could get to this level without being. When did you start doing competitions?
Yes, to answer your first question, very competitive.
Yeah.
But I got in my first mogul events when I was about 7 years old. Before that, I'd tried every single sport under the sun and could not find one that I was good at. I loved competing. I loved sports. I knew I wanted to do something in sports, but I had quite a challenge with all of them until I found skiing. And then skiing just seemed to be the one that really clicked. Like, even though, I still sucked at it when I was really little, and it took me a long time to learn, there was just a different level of love and sort of passion for it that it really kind of got me down the rabbit hole. So I started then, and then, as that transition has changed and I've grown up more. Not that I've stopped loving skiing, but I found this new love of really competing and trying to win at the highest level. And then when you kind of marry those two things together, those two passions, I'm in the best spot now, because I get to do two things that I really, really love and care about.
Sure.
So what was that? I mean, to get to, it's one thing to say I compete at a sport, but to be an Olympian and to represent your country, where was like the final ceiling you felt like you had to break through to get to that level? Like, what was that, and how did you accomplish that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, because, to be frankly honest with you, I don't know if I've cracked through that ceiling yet. There's still a lot that I'm still looking to do. When I was younger, I always said I wanted to be in the Olympics. I wanted to be on the U.S. ski team, and then those things happened for me at a really young age. So I was like, well, man, this journey didn't stop now. Because of that, this ball keeps rolling, and then the transitions happen, and the goals kind of shift to not just being at the World Cup level or on the U.S. ski team or on the Olympic team, but asking, how can I be the best in the world? How can I challenge an Olympic gold medal and really run down that path? So that's really where my mind's gone to now, of what the next challenge is. Because you kind of work through all these different stepping stones from, being a 7-year-old starting to where I am now. And if you looked at that, that path as one big chunk, it'd be impossible. You'd be standing at the bottom of Mount Everest with no idea how to get there. But as I've taken, every step at a time and gone up, I've climbed that mountain pretty far, and I'm able to look down and be really proud of what I've done, but still understand that there's a long way to go in front of me still.
So I got a question for you on that note. All your peers, whether U.S. or other countries, like, everyone's really good. They didn't get to that point without being really good. So now it's down to those minute details to help separate the gold medal from the non-podium folks. Have you kind of identified what are some of those things that you need to work on that just give you that little extra ounce of greatness, I guess? Yeah,
right. It's really a never-ending sort of cycle and journey. And when you get to this top level, like, once, you're talking about the top, call it 50 guys in the world, but then once you're in the top 10 of that, the differences between everyone, the details are so minute. Yeah. But they make the biggest difference. And coming out with those, it really becomes kind of an obsession of everything. You have to be striving to get that, 1% or a fraction of a percent better every day. And that being compounded over, a year, a 4-year cycle for the Olympics, or 10 years for a career. That's really, I think, where you see the biggest difference. Because anyone can come in and be really good once for a day, but sure, doing that for an extended period of time really goes back to the dedication and the commitment to live that life every day.
Right. The individual that you said who's about 32, 33 now, who's number one in the world, Is this a U.S. individual or a different country?
He's from Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, his name's Mikkel Kingsbury.
God.
Have you studied him to say, okay, this guy's been at the top of the game for a long time, over a decade. What is it that he's doing that either I'm not or that I should try to emulate? Like, what are his little things that allows him to be at that top spot?
Yeah, one of the things that he's done phenomenally well, and I'm able to, shine his shoes a little because he's one of my best friends in the world.
Okay,
and
cool.
He's really contributed to my career and my success more than anyone else has. He really kind of has taken me under his wing. So, I owe a lot to him. I want to get that out there and state that first. But one, the level of consistency that he's had for so long, I think it attributes back to a level of, an attention to detail in everything that he's done. There's never been a training run or a training day that was taken for granted. There's been intention behind everything.
Yeah.
And from a competitive standpoint, I've never seen someone in any sport dominate the way that he has. And I think some of that comes from his skiing IQ and his competition IQ of being able to, one, know what he needs to do in the event to win, but then also have an understanding of what the rest of the field is doing. So he's always skiing the exact run he needs to ski. He's never trying to push outside of his capability or what he needs to. And then when you look at it back to when he was really young and all the videos and sort of footage I've watched of him, he's really good, right? He's naturally really good at this, but then he's taken that natural talent to a whole nother level because he's worked so hard at it. So he's one of, I would put him in the class of, if you could put him on Mount Rushmore with Muhammad Ali, Babe Ruth, and Michael Jordan. He's that dominant of an athlete.
Wow.
We're just in a small sport, so no one knows about it.
That even
Thank you for saying Jordan at LeBron.
That's a generational.
Hey, I know I'm young, but I'm still smart.
I'll say shout out to him. First of all, everyone needs a mentor. It's great that you have one, but in particular, shout out to him because you said he's from Canada. He's on the Canadian team. Like, that's a competition, right? That's so kudos to him for looking beyond that and say, look, I like this kid. I want to help him out. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, very cool. I owe a lot to him.
So you talked a little bit about his approach to training. What is a day in the life for you in outside competition that people aren't seeing, right? What is a training day like for you? Yeah,
it's funny. So it actually changes a lot depending on where I am and what phase of the summer I'm in. When I'm at an on-snow camp, like when I'm going to Chile next week, those days I'll be up fairly about 6 or so. I'll get into the gym and do about a 30 to 45 minute sort of warm up exercises before getting out onto the ski hill. We'll ski from probably anywhere from 9 to 2 o'clock, and that's both doing a balance of top to bottom sort of competition style runs or breaking things down in pieces and really isolating a certain part of the course because we do so many different parts. After that, I'd go back home, have lunch, recover
for a few hours.
Yeah, right. Have lunch, recover for a bit, and then get into the gym for a workout before kind of winding down, recovering, and then getting up the next day to do it all over again. And then let's say I'm back home in Park City, where we aren't on snow, we aren't at a camp. Then I'm waking up and we have a water ramp facility here. If you've ever heard of the Utah Olympic Park, it's basically a replica of all of our jumps made on metal and plastic that are into a swimming pool. So we can practice all of our jumps without the risk of getting hurt. And we don't have snow to be on right now. So it lets us work in the summer, which is really cool. So I'll do that for the morning, finish up, I'll go to the gym, and then depending on the day and how my trainer has it structured, we'll either have 1 or 2 workouts throughout the day before winding up, hopefully finding my way onto a golf course and then doing it all the next day.
There we go.
Hey. So I have a question.
Real quick question about the workout though, and then go to yours. Sauna or steam room?
Oh God.
Ooh, I like the sauna if I'm going to pick between the two, and I've been starting to dabble and jump in the ice bath a little bit more.
That was my next question. So then did you follow that with a cold plunge?
Or reverse the order?
And they're awesome. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, you can even go back and forth and do like a minute in one, a minute in the other.
Yeah, I think
there's a whole.
I've only done cold plunge like twice. it's an acquired trait. But I've got to be like literally. There's a steam where I work out. There's a steam room and a sauna. I actually kind of prefer the steam room for whatever reason, but I've got to be like just drenched and hot as hell before I jump into that thing, because without it.
Well, for we amateur flatlanders, it's when we go out for a family ski vacation and you're sitting in the hot tub. Like, okay, someone has to run out, roll around the snow, and then jump back in again.
Yeah, right. Jump back in.
It's how professionalism starts, really.
Yeah. Exactly. I think so too.
My question is, you talked about you love skiing, you have a passion for it, which obviously has to be there to want to keep going. But there's got to be some monotony, and there's got to be times where you're feeling like you're just in the grind. How do you battle through that?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, when you look at it on that scale, there's a bunch of days where I don't want to get out of bed, where, my alarm goes off at 5:30, 6 in the morning, and it's like the only thing in the world I want to do is sleep for another 3 hours, but I don't really have that option.
Yeah.
So a lot of times in those moments, you have to ask yourself, is the discomfort that I'm going to feel right now worth sacrificing not getting to that end result that I'm trying to get to? And the answer is always no, right? I had a individual I've learned a lot from, he's talked about, he says, if your if your goals and kind of this end result is so important, that passion is so valuable to you, the work to get there, it becomes irrelevant. Right. If you have to get up at 5 to go run and get up at 6 to go get in the gym, and you get up and go to the gym, right? You don't have the option to sit back and try something else, because that fire of getting to your end result, it burns so hot that it almost answers the questions for you. And I've been really lucky to be in a position where that fire burns really, really hot. And that's kind of what carries me through all those times where I don't want to do something, but I have to, because I know if I want to get to that end result, I want to get to that finish line, that's the only way.
Yeah. So like it as we've learned over the last many decades, and you get more and more involvement of like sports psychologists into really high levels of athletics. Mm-hmm. One of the key words that people talk about is visualization, and having that sort of psyche and seeing what it is you're trying to work toward. What do you visualize when you're like laying in bed? I don't want to get out of bed. Or when you're on the mountain, mm-hmm. like, oh my God, I don't want to do this drill again or go through this run again. What mental picture do you paint for yourself to say, okay, let's just do it?
Yeah, a funny one, I've visualized so many different things. I've always visualized what I've wanted to do right. But in those moments, I've always thought a really valuable way to think about things or look at things was to ask yourself, like, well, man, I could just quit, right? I could just be done. Is that what that feels like? And I've never been able to answer what that feels like, because it's never happened, right? If my legs are drained and I'm, on a bike or in the workout, and there's nothing more than I just want to curl up and lay down. And you ask yourself, like, oh, is that what a quitter would do? And then, oh, okay, exactly. That's of course what they would do. And that's exactly why I'm not going to do that, because that's not who I am. So I've definitely used that as a little sort of piece in my back pocket to help get me through some of those hard times and kind of help answer some of those questions and push through, because it's ultimately in those moments that you really make breakthroughs.
So we're winding down the summer of 2025. What is your schedule as you start competition leading up to final qualifiers for the Olympic team? What is the competition schedule from here to there? Yeah,
so my first competitions will be in Finland in December, I think December 6th, beginning of the month, and do an event there. I'll go do an event in Sweden, and then an event in Georgia before coming back, December 20th, somewhere around there. We'll go through the holidays, the New Year, and then I'll do an event in Montreal in Canada right after the New Year, and then one at my home resort at Deer Valley in Park City. So between all of those different stops, we'll have 9 different World Cups, and each one of those World Cups is a qualifying event for the Olympics. So it's pretty cool to have, the final qualifier in my hometown on my home resort, which is pretty special and pretty unique.
Oh yeah, you have the hometown crowd.
Exactly, right? So you get a nice boost going right into the Olympics there.
So is it like a point system then for each of those events, how well you do, and then cumulatively you determine like who makes the team? Is that how they do it?
Yeah, similar. It's actually a pretty complicated, a complicated criteria to make that team, because it's one of the hardest teams to make in the world. I mean, going to the Olympics for the U.S., we're so deep. We have so many people. So really, through all those 9 events, if I'm winning World Cups, if I'm landing on podiums, that's how I punch my ticket. Yeah. And you go through that process. That's how you make the team. And we're only allowed up to 4 men and 4 women for moguls, which isn't very many. And we have 15 or 16 on our team. So we kind of have to, fight amongst each other to really make it there.
So what's that balancing point? Your teammates, but also in some ways your competitors against one another, because obviously all of you want to make one of those 4 spots. How do you, like, what's the mentality of we got to keep each other lifted up, but we're also in this?
Right. We're in such an interesting and unique sport in that regard. Like, we all compete as individuals. We all compete for ourselves, but we're part of this organization. So we have people around us that are, good people, and you want to have good relationships and good friendships, but really it ultimately boils down to everything's on you, right? If I have a bad day, I don't have anyone to look to say, oh man, maybe this person can catch some Hail Mary throw and save the day for me. Like, that doesn't happen. It's all on you. So you have to kind of, at least how I always seen it, is you have to go through this as an individual and have the good people around you when you need them, but it all lands on your shoulders. So you are competing head to head against the people that, you're sharing an apartment with, which can be interesting. But it's what we do, and it's kind of unique.
So you are a World Cup champion. You've now have a handful of ski championships under your belt. You've been to 1 Olympic Games, which I would imagine going into your first Olympic Games, everything's new. I mean, obviously it's a competition. You've been in a million competitions, but there's just a different element to it. Mm-hmm. Now that you have some of those things behind you, how has that experience benefited you going into this process again?
Yeah, there's been, like you said it perfectly there. When I was going into that last Olympics, I was so young. I was 18, 19 years old. I was pretty much brand new still to this life, and I had no idea what I was doing, right? I was kind of going in, guns blazing, just saying, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to see what happens. And whatever it was, it worked. I made that team and came out of it with so much good experience, and used that to kind of level up throughout the next 4 years to get myself into a different position, where making this next Olympic team, it isn't going to be any easier or any simpler. But the one thing that will change is I now have a little bit more of experience, and I know what to expect. So I have a couple answers or a couple questions that are answered now that I didn't even have beforehand. So those things have really just helped in kind of helping me grow up and learn what this landscape is, where, I'm not going in just hoping that I can do my best and see what happens. Is now it's kind of, I'm going in more with a plan and a structure and a goal to say, this is where I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to do it. So experience pays off a lot in that regard.
Yeah, well said. And I mean, you're the 3rd in the world to do a double cork 10, right? I mean, so not everyone can say that. Only 2 others could say that.
Okay, so
I still don't even know what it is. Tell us, what is it?
Yeah, so that trick, the double cork 10, there's a handful of people that have done it, and it's actually one we're not allowed to compete in competition yet, because it's 2 flips, essentially. It's a double. And in our sport, we're kind of classified to just single flips, or things that only go upside down once. But there's this one trick. It's called a cork 1440. It's kind of your unicorn. You don't see it too often. There's only, I could probably count on one hand the people who have done that and competed it. And I guess I'm one of those people. So I have that little thing in my back pocket to always know that I can pull and use, which is a nice benefit going in.
So I'm assuming
to a big season.
1440 would be 4 revolutions, but is there any flip involved, or is it just 4 360s?
Yep. So it's four revolutions, but it's off axis. So you kind of get a little bit of a flip involved.
Okay, so you're in what were you doing in an inverted
so you're doing
G at Mach 5 or whatever? Foreign relations.
Exactly. New Top Gun.
Yeah, exactly.
So on a double cork 10, if you're coming off the jump, is it a 2 backflips or are you going forward? I'm trying to think of like the momentum.
You're going backwards with it.
Yeah,
so you do in the double cork 10, you do 2 spins and 1 flip in the first flip, and then you do 1 flip with a 1 spin in the second. So you're doing 3 full spins with 2 flips.
Yeah,
I'm dizzy.
Yeah,
there's a lot going on in it. Yeah,
I've graduated from that point in my life where I would even try something like that.
Yeah,
especially not being someone who skis a lot.
Right. Well, Nick, I've got a quote written down from you that I think pretty much sums everything up. But I really like seeing this because there's a couple things in here I can relate to. So it says, "I'm obsessed with getting better. I'm never satisfied, and I can't wait to keep achieving my goals." The never satisfied thing I can certainly appreciate and relate to. And we've already kind of hit on this, but the obsession of getting better, I think pretty well sums up what separates, those like yourself who achieve a level of success and can compete at the highest level versus everyone else who might be suffering from mediocrity. It says a lot, especially for someone who's only 23. I mean, you're just still in the first part of your life, and I will say that kudos to you because I think that will serve you well.
Thank you.
Even when the skiing days or the competitive skiing days are behind you, it will serve you well for sure.
Oh, that's really kind. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. What Joe kind of asked you this already, but what if you had to guess, like what do you think the next few months outside of the World Cups and leading into, like, you feeling pretty confident about these Olympics and feeling fairly good about your chances of being on the team?
Yeah, I do. I feel like I'm in a good spot right now. By no means is anything given to me, or I haven't achieved anything yet. I still need to keep my head down and make that team. That's the first step, right? You can't win an Olympic gold medal if you're not on the team. So that's kind of the first priority. And then the shift happens to say, well, okay, we've made that team. Now, how do we perform?
Yep.
And keeping it all in perspective there to understand that, I could go through this season and not make the team. And there's this whole plan in my head that could not happen. Yeah. But that's, in my eyes, that's not really the way that I see it or that I look at it, because I'm only seeing the positive. I'm only seeing what I want to do. I'm not looking at all these different avenues because there's, infinite things that could happen.
Sure.
And kind of looking at it that way, I think brings me a lot of peace and a lot of ease because, I get to go out and just try to execute what I'm trying to do. So to put it in that regard, yeah, I'm feeling really good about this season, and I'm excited for it to kick off soon. And, in 4 months' time, when the season wraps up, it's going to be pretty cool to look back and say, we just ran through a really valuable and important chapter of my career. And no matter how it shapes up, whatever happens, it's going to be something that makes me who I am, and it's going to help, build me up as a person.
Right. I think what I heard him say is a lot of what we say inside the office, which is, of all the things you have coming at you on a daily basis, some of them you can control, some of them you cannot control. And you just have to not worry about the uncontrollables because they're just going to be there. Let's just focus on the things we can control and just, go make what we can of it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. There's no value in over managing and over stressing about something that's out of your hands.
Yeah.
But you put all that attention into the things you can control. You do everything that you can control to the very best of your ability. You leave nothing on the table. Then you've done everything you can. And you have to be happy and proud of that because you've truly given it your best effort.
Right. Okay, Nick, question for you. You're only 23, but let's say you're talking to a group of 15 to 20-year-olds. What advice would you give to them?
No, that's good. When I think back to when I was that age, call it when I was in high school, I was definitely an outlier. I cared so much about my training, what I was doing, that it kind of put me on the outside, and maybe it wasn't the coolest thing to do or to be. And, I'd tell a young person coming into the world like that is, it is really cool to care about what you're doing, to have something that matters to you and to give it your all, to not just kind of be nonchalant and just roll with things, but to really be driven and really be doing something. I'd say that will take someone a long way, even if it, puts you outside the pack. That's not necessarily a bad thing. And no matter what it is, if it's a sport, if it's going into an industry, if it's going to a school, whatever it is, waking up every day and giving something your best effort, your best ability, where you could finish that day and ask yourself, did I get better today? Did I move in the right direction? Because I think if you're answering that question, yes, then you're doing the right things and you're on the right path. So consistently trying to get better, I think, is really important, and never getting stuck just thinking, I've done a really good job, I'm just going to hang out and stay where I am. No, there has to always be this hunger and this drive to improve and get better. So I would share with someone younger than me that if they could bring that into their life and kind of instill that in themselves, that it would do them a lot of good service. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
well said.
You're obviously an elite athlete on the mountain, but your level of maturity and that answer alone is elite in its own way. And I don't think that that's advice for someone younger than you or someone in that age group. That's really sound advice for anybody in any industry, any space, at any age.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you. That was very kind.
And I wasn't trying to glaze you there, as my kids would say.
Yeah.
That was a sincere thought.
Well, Nick, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us this morning. We wish you nothing but the best. Safe travels. We hope to God we see you on that U.S. Olympic team, because I know, I speak for Joe and I both. Like we love the Olympics, winter or summer. Like
mostly winter.
I love the Olympics, and I would have given anything to be able to be an athlete in the Olympics at some point. But like that ship has sailed. So we're gonna live it through you. So we hope kick ass the next couple of months. We hope to see you on that team, and then who knows, maybe we'll get lucky enough and we'll be on the sidelines, ringing that cowbell when you're going down the mountain.
Yeah.
Now, when you make the team, not if you make the team, but when you make the team.
Right.
I have faith in you, Nick. When you make the team,
thank you.
You're going to see a couple of belligerent clowns on the slopes in Milan or wherever the actual event site
Cortina.
is. Is it in Cortina?
Yeah.
Screaming like crazy, and you're going to probably like be mid-flip, look over like, oh my God, they actually came. And then you're going to stick the landing and keep going. But
that would be actually pretty damn
If you're
awesome.
there,
that's going to be,
I'm there.
and that's going to put the biggest smile on my face when that happens. So thank you guys for having me on today. This was really great to talk with you, and I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Sounds like a challenge. Challenge accepted.
Definitely.
Challenge accepted.
All right.
I love it.
Cool. And thank all you guys for joining us on this episode of the Industrious Podcast. We thank you all for joining us. Shoot some comments of well wishes to Nick in the comments there. He would greatly appreciate it. We'll pass those along. Don't forget to check out the U.S. ski team and in the Olympics in February of 2026 in Italy. Until next time, guys, don't forget, heed Nick's words, be industrious.